I'm D.Petersen from D.Petersen Furniture Restorations and Sales. This piece has come in, it was damaged, it's being crunched. The joint down here has been broken. This top joint here, the front part was broken off. So I can't get this joint fully apart without removing all the nails and causing a lot more damage and a lot more cost to the repair. So another way of doing it is taking a drill and drilling with this reverse clamp. I pulled it apart and I drill down into the tenon, down through the tenon, take my glue syringe, get it down into the hole and let it run down the channel, and you just feel for it and you'll feel the end of this will drop into its place where it's needed, where it's supposed to sit, because you want the glue to get down into the tenon, the mortise and tenon. And that's it. Back this off. And pressure, stand it up. Clean off your excess glue, and never be stingy with glue. You know, you can always wipe off the excess, just never ever be stingy with glue. You can do that whole gallon of glue there, was $23. Alright, so get the first clamp on right here. And right now, because I'm not even using blocks on here, I'm just using this to get the joints where they're supposed to sit. I have more repair work to do here. You see this now one? So I've just lightly, I don't want to make any marks on the finish, right? This is just enough just to hold it so I can get the excess glue wiped up, get the joint clean. I've got to repair this upper part, and then once that's done, then I'll block it all properly. So this part here, I'm doing a lot of wears right now. Always stay organized. All right. Here we go. Well, I might as well finish off using the glue that's in here because I have to wash this out anyway. So this part I've already gone through and picked all the little bits that don't need to be there. Always try and leave as much of the wood that's in the joint as possible. Bend it back into its right position. Or if there's just little hairs, little burrs, just pick them out. You just always want to try and keep as much of the joint as there as possible, just for a better. And I always glue both sides. Glue both sides of everything. When this glue is done, good. Just into the top. A little bit of glue here. And then just my glue bottle. Geez, I was getting all ready for you, and you've got the glue bottle sitting right behind me here. Oh. So, like that. Put it back up on top, running into the joint. Slide this up. So it takes the glue with it. Get that into position. Because this one's just going to slide back in. You don't want to pinch or break off any of the existing finish, and just have it slide back into where it belongs. Again, wipe off your excess glue. it's a lot easier to wipe the glue off than after you put the clamps on, then you're trying to work around clamps. The glue comes off with a little bit of picking when it's dry. You can also do a little bit of damage to the furniture doing that. So there we go. That's done. Let's sit up nice. A little pressure this way. With the pressure going that way, I don't want to get this too wet. So I use a lot of masking tape and gluing myself. And what that does is that's just gonna pull it in that little bit that I need. It just pulls it in. So when I put my clamp on, it'll sit flush. Let's clamp. This is nice and smooth. No music in here. There you go. And that is a good job. Nice and tight. Right, so this let's get this out of the way. My blocks. Good. So the first one here, and because it's such a small area, if this was more than 6 inches, I'd be putting 2 clamps. Actually, I think I'm going to put 2 clamps anyway. Do one there, and then one here. Because I just want to make sure that each joint, because you can get it kind of cockeyed. Right? If you come in the center and these aren't the same, that you can throw it off. So it's best to make sure everything is sitting level here, right? So I noticed when I brought the job in, this had been repaired once before, and this leg was actually sitting a little cockeyed, and that was due to the lack of pressure at the top and too much at the bottom. So now, one more clamp. Hold this section there. going on an angle like this. This angle is here, so I can get the clamp to sit here on the inside to pull in, because if I have the clamp sitting in this position, won't be able to get the next bar clamp in. So that's why it's sitting on an angle. So it's good. Never more than 3 fingers tight with pressure. That's how I was taught, because otherwise you squeeze all the glue out of the joint and you make it brittle. So 2 fingers, 1 thumb, whatever that is to tighten it up, that is the pressure. Any more than that, you squeeze too much of the glue out of the joint, making it weak. And then again, here. Excuse me, one last clamp. Just enough to see on my 2 fingers here. This is the top, and you don't want this sitting in. Even though everything's cut flush and square, too much pressure can throw things out of whack, because you're just forcing the wood. So you want to, like if you take a look, you stand here when I move this, you stand there and take a look in at this joint. Here. Watch the movement. No, stand back. Okay, now watch the movement here. See that? That's how much, you see, watch how cockeyed that goes. See the pressure to how cockeyed this is sitting now? You see the angle it's sitting on? That is supposed to sit right there. That's where that needs to sit. And that's not much at all, right? Because this is a weak spot. So again, so if I'd cranked that up and left it there, not realizing, not looking, it would have been too much. So you want to now just wiggle your joints in. Take one more of these here. Oh. See, this just wanting a little more pressure right here, bottom. That's the strongest part here, right? There's a 5/8 piece coming across the top, then it's capped across the base here, so I can pull this in a little bit because I noticed it was sitting a little askew. So there we go. That's done. This tape that I used here was to pull that piece in before I clamped it. Doesn't need to be there anymore. And that's it. That's how you glue that. When you can't take something apart, drill it, get into the tendon area, the mortise and tendon joint, and drill it. Get the glue into the thing, let it run. Get your clamps ready. Remove your excess glue, clamp it up. Always leave it. A glue job like this should sit in clamps overnight anyway. 12 hours. 12 hours to let it fully absorb all the moisture, get it to absorb into the wood, and get a good joint. And when you're taking your clamps off, you have to take the pressure equally off your clamps as you go, like quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, and eventually get them loose enough that they're all ready to go and work with somebody, so you're not dropping them and harming the furniture. The top for this piece, if you want to see it, it's really cool. Come here. the top has these inserts. That's from Belgium. Her lady's husband had spilled the glass of brandy, and that's just a residue. These sit like this, so they have a choice of either. This is the one she's using, and I'm gonna paint the green, the leather that's being pulled off here. Like this is leather, and then it gets glazed and finished. So I'm gonna touch all this up, and I'm gonna just pad this over. What she didn't notice when we took these off was that if you look in the light here, you can see this was all white yesterday. So I went over it with amalgamator. As you look here, you can see where it's pulled the finish up. Is that was completely white. The alcohol sat under there for months and months, and it affected both the checker and the backgammon.
Destroyed the finish.
Yeah. Well, this is just about, there's probably about 8 coats of varnish that are being sanded and rubbed down. So there's not a lot of finish on here. So I can clean this up. So that's what I'm going to be working on right now. Now that's done, I'm going to get these guys done. We're going to get this thing. This is prepped and ready to. This was scratched by a moving company on delivery. So I've steamed the scratches out, and it'll get restained perfect brown. This chest here came in. Had to take it completely apart. It'd been sitting outside for a long time. I've actually drilled and installed a screw at the front and at the back. It's the only way to deal with this. They're 45, and it's all the finger joint in there, but it was so badly warped. The tension on it, again, a reasonable repair and something that's going to work. So I took it apart, I glued it, and when I took the clamps off, it just opened it up. So I had to clean it up, re-glue it. I drilled it, installed 2 2-inch screws, and then another 1-inch, another 2-inch screw between the two running this way, and then the one running into the back. Because most of the pressure when you lift the lid is going to be pulling back this way. This was all falling apart, so I reblocked it, re-glued everything, and it's a little cockeyed like this, so when I get it into the holes, it all sits tight, right? Because that's just normal when you glue them up. You can glue them up on a square jig, but this is fine. All the joints are nice and tight, so I'm going to do that, this, that, and that, and then we're going on to this stuff here. This is the last of the stuff from the fire. This stuff's been drying for months. I washed these out, neutralized them with a neutralizer, and just bathed that. But this is just all stuff that sat up underneath that's fallen back into the drawers. I did save a drawer because this is what everything looks like. A lot of the fire claims we get, this is basically what comes into the shop. Nasty. Many pieces, very dirty. So, and this is what they look like when they're done. There's there's actually 2 of these. I just put the polish and put the hardware back on this one. So she's all done, ready to go. All the drawers are done inside, out, upside down. Everything's clean. Smells almost like a bit of lacquer thinner, the denatured alcohol from the shellac. So this is being shellacked and varnished, and then after I rubbed the varnish down and I went over it with an oil base, kind of like a lac over. So it's a lacquer but oil. So, and that's it. You guys are ready to go. There's a couple more boxes. This one here is this has its 3rd coat on, and then it's gonna get glazed. This one's being glazed, and that's the only difference between the two. I just said this will get a black or a Van Dyke brown glaze on, and then I'll seal the Van Dyke brown glaze on, and then I'll spot it with black glaze in places to give that look there. And then I will give it its top coat of varnish, and then they'll be ready. Those are going out next week. And this piece here is interesting. I was just mapping this off here. This piece belongs right here on this side. It was broken off, but this is doing a repair like this to put it into perspective. That's all I need to make. There's the groove.
Move your hand.
So, well, here I mapped it off here, right? I reverse this. Is that where this sits? So this is basically all I have to do is, this is going to get. I will drop
It's
a piece
missing a section, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this mahogany right here, this beautiful piece of mahogany. It's off an old Gibbard dining room suite. Well, I will cut that, and it's thick enough that I can get the profile and join it in. And maybe I'll get the piece cut, and then you can watch me plane it into position and glue it tomorrow. That'll be done tomorrow. And we have the Senior Center, the show this weekend. So
It's at the
that's
Seaside Center.
At the Seaside
Wood
Center.
Expo.
The Wood Expo at the Seaside
Seashell,
Center.
British Columbia. From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And I will be there.
And it's free.
And it's free.
So come check it out.
Thank you, background person.